Art of Meditation to the Winds of the Southeast, the third in 8 lessons. Physical preparation. To begin, one must respectfully know, always cleanse and consecrate one's body to the task at hand beforehand, as in scrub before putting scrubs on. So to surgically speak, understand that we are many replicas of the entire universe itself, comprised of physical, mental, and spiritual bodies simultaneously. Each is so closely tied together that the impression or impressions of one affects the other two, manifesting expression in this material world as a composite of all creative forces, with you as the very focal point, no less. So all inclusive in shape, fashion, and form that nothing is beyond our comprehension or grasp. Living is your birthright. Life is a privilege, and knowing oneself is a duty. To be sure, one's body is a beautiful temple, alive and kicking. Yes, and as aptly with any endeavor, preparedness correlates with success. And so it is with meditation. Whether it be proper grooming and attire, conducive surroundings and healthy sustenance, or avoidance and or inclusion of certain associations, such as scents, sounds, and or incantations, etc., ad nauseum, coupled with deep breathing to circulate an evenly balanced flow throughout one's entire respiratory system, the point is to self-induce reassurance and relaxation. You're trying to reach a theta brainwave state of mind. The prospect is analogous to a mechanic or surgeon whom changes into the right apparel and mindset before operating. And although methods, techniques, and tools may differ amongst individuals, again, the purpose is all the same: to practice the art of innate knowing, doing, and attuning for the sake of mending and hence healing. This is serious shit, man. Do you want to be an amateur all your life or become an expert of self? And though one may be shown how, as in led to the so-called trough, ultimately it's solely up to you and your efforts alone, whether you take a dip or sip. Get it? So, on said note, evenly steady breathing is what raises the creative current through one's body centers, pure and simple, which finds its full measure of expression from within to inevitably be and or become outwardly expressed. Physical vibrations are what is being aroused, stimulating the contact points between one's soul and material shell, or thy clay vessel, archaically speaking. And what follows is the ideal pathway. As such, attuning should start with the reproductive glands, aka one's base and or root chakra, which acts as the motor by which to raise spiritual power in the body, aka the Kundalini serpent. Said power enters the Leydig glands, aka the genitive system akin to the sun chakra, whose center is likened to an open or sealed door, depending upon the use and or abuse it has been put through, good or bad. As this life force is aroused, it rises along the Appian Way, or silver cord, to the pituitary, aka crown chakra, where it is disseminated to the other centers, giving activity to one's whole physical and mental being. Spiritual power is propelled further still to the pineal gland, or third eye chakra, where expression activates the imaginative forces. See? As in the frequency pattern of sounding do, re, ti, la, and or seeing red, orange, violet, and then indigo, respectfully. If one's ideal is material, it builds towards things of the earth, transient and impermanent. If one's ideal is spiritual in nature, same is developed, however, all inclusively. And if one's ideal is mental, well, you get the idea. By awakening the faculties of one's soul via these activities in those centers, aka your chakras, psychic forces become evident and manifest, yet only after very much discipline in such a practice. Because this and that said cannot be coerced nor forced overnight, ironically, just like going to a gym. The not so secret trick is in the letting go of process, most broadly speaking, which of course takes time getting comfortable with, let alone adept at. The question then is whether to focus on immaterial things or spiritual ideals. Is one seeking to be what others dictate and or expect? Or are you looking to become a light unto the world? When currents rise along this silver cord, one begins to sense within distinct vibrations, back and forth, side to side, and circular motions, passing up and down one's spine from head to toe, and vice versa to and fro, following one's sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems in a spiraling dihedral fashion, like caduceus, or the structure of DNA, unironically. These are elementary principles in that all matter moves, whence differences in way, shape, fashion, and or form depends on the rate or rates of vibration, as in water in a solid, liquid, or vaporous state. Accordingly, in accord with dearly beloved Mother Nature's immutable laws, of course. Our bodies are likewise comprised of many forms of matter, from air to food to bones and tissue, all of which are highly sensitive to change and subsequently ever changing, as in flux, if you will, vibrating out of whack when ill and in sync when well. Meditation is thus a conscious application of vibrations through the mind in order to heal the body of ailment, albeit limited to the five senses. Nevertheless, any earthly manifestations can thus be recognized, understood, and dealt with of one's own accord, ideally. Alas, even upon returning from other realms of existence and spheres of influence set apart from this physical plane, thusly, including via otherwise altered or induced states of mind, you know what I'm talking about. Concepts gained always become cloaked within the constraint of three-dimensional terminology in order to be shared and understood consciously. Hence why much is invariably lost in translation, and yet even more reason for it being a personal journey and or undertaking to begin with. After all, living off life support is no way to live life at all, is it? Now then, vibrations which emanate from within is and or are a material expression of spiritual influence from life itself, becoming apparent when the right chords and or chord is and or are struck, and then again only when in tune or tuned in. Get it? Therefore, thoughts are waves, a force that can act upon, influence, affect, and or affect, which suggests direction, especially when directed. Just as one's choice in food may hinder or aid growth and development, so too is it with thoughts. This factor alone is most responsible for destroying or building up one's temple beautiful, and your current state of overall being, individually and collectively speaking. So pay attention to thine habits, patterns, and trend. Art thou tearing the fabric, and or haphazardly knitting it together? Or are you co-creating a masterpiece with thy loom?